And with me, I have Justin Wulf. Justin, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm well. Thank you, sir, for coming to this episode of Altitude. We appreciate your attendance and presence here. So you, from what I know about you, I have a little bit of insider information on you, but also too, legitimately without any nepotism, you actually have like an entire spectrum of skills, right? So you have everything, what they call it, left brain, right brain. You know, you're artistic and you're also analytical.
Right.
And so as we get to talking a little bit today, I think that's what will make you a unique interview for us. Yeah. So why don't we talk a little bit about, you know, tell us what you do in your career or job, however you want to call it, and maybe how you got there.
Sure, yeah, so I'm a IT business analyst at Medtronic. I've been at Medtronic officially for about 8.5 years now. Started off as an intern and actually got that internship opportunity through attending a banquet for a computer program that I was in.
Wait, attending a banquet you got a job?
A banquet, yeah.
So networking, you're talking about like you were just
so
hanging out, or how do you get
so,
a job at a banquet?
For those who are familiar or not familiar with BDPA, BDPA is a program for middle school students, high school students to get them familiar with technology, computer programming, web design, so have you.
What languages did you learn while you were in BDPA?
I learned quite a few. We did some ASP.NET, MySQL database programming, JavaScript, I believe, and C#.
So C# was the main business language?
For when I was in the program, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And so
I'm sure it's changed now.
Yeah.
Python or
it's
whatever
always
it might
it's
be.
never ending.
Yep.
But through that program, we had like our annual banquet where the students get honored and all of the BDPA sponsors are invited. And so Medtronic was a sponsor that year, and I met one of the vice presidents of Medtronic, gave him my business card that was made, like a week before, because we try to act very professional and work on our networking skills. And so I put those networking skills to the test. And
well, Ms. Dorothy, one of the founders, she actually is on top of all those details. So she's a great influence, her and her husband, Joe, co-founders.
So that's kind of where it all started. And then I've been full-time at Medtronic for about four or 5 years now.
Fantastic.
Kept my internship all the way through.
Wow, that's amazing. So through this BDPA, you're able to do networking with other students, but other professionals, and because of your opportunity and just being there, right, you were present in that particular space, and you were prepared. You had a business card, and those are some memorable things, especially for executives, because they're looking for people that are hiring managers that are looking for students that are prepared. Right. And you were in high school. You weren't like in college or anything, right? You were a high school student, weren't you?
I was in my second semester of college.
Oh, you were?
So my freshman year, second semester.
My apologies. I thought you came back as you were in high school. So
yeah, very soon after.
How many years, when did you start your internship? Were you in high school? Had you graduated from high school?
Yeah, so
the timing of
I applied for an internship at Medtronic in my senior year in high school and got rejected because there were other applicants that had better credentials than me at the moment.
Sure.
But I didn't stop there.
Gotcha.
The very next year when I was at that banquet, I still intentionally, went out of my comfort zone and made some contacts and met with somebody else who wasn't in that interview process for an internship, and there was a whole nother opportunity waiting for me.
And that, the point I was really driving there is there's this thing called grit and perseverance. And so just because, you're doing so well now, you were on your grind at 12th grade, right? 11th and 12th grade. You had circumstances where you had to stay grinding, or, you can't stop. You just got to keep going forward. And then into your college. So that's really very impressive. And it is important that students know that just because you don't get accepted once doesn't mean you shouldn't keep applying, right?
Yeah.
And that's an important message. So, so in your day-to-day work, you're doing data analytics. You're doing a lot of different types of skills. Is there any one particular thing about your job that you really like?
So I recently moved to a different team as of 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay, so you're moving around.
Yeah, and so I'm focused primarily on the mobility side, and so I've been doing some testing on Android and iOS apps for a Medtronic product that, as of right now, it's confidential. It hasn't been officially released yet, but we've got a pilot hospital that's going to be adopting the software and using it in their day-to-day practice.
Well, I
Pretty
certainly don't want to get us in trouble, so we're not going to look for any, we do not want any issues with privacy. So, well then, we talked a little bit about, you know, your career and some of the jobs that you might have had, but what about your education? How did you prepare yourself to be in a position to get to that and share whatever you want to about that journey?
Right. Yeah, so I give a lot of my credit to BDPA for starting me off so young and acquiring that knowledge in junior high. Going into high school, I chose computer science classes and more advanced math classes to help set me up for a computer science degree. And so just with that foundational knowledge and continuing to pursue it, I knew I wanted to do something in IT, something in a corporate setting. I just didn't know what yet. I didn't know what opportunities were out there, but through claiming a computer science degree at Bethel University and sharing that with the VP at Medtronic at the time, that I was on the right track to get as many experiences I needed at Medtronic to figure out what exactly I liked and where exactly I wanted to fit in.
Exactly. Wow, that's fantastic. So we've talked about education a little bit. We've talked about career. So then there's this your artistic. I always prefer to call it the artistic side. So tell us a little bit about your lifestyle and your hobbies and your hobby business, or like tell us about your other grind. You know, I just learned this term. You had the 9 to 5. And then you have the 5 to 9. So let's hear about your 5 to 9.
That's really funny. That's actually someone says that in a feature verse on one of my future songs. But I haven't even said I'm a hip hop artist yet. But this guy goes, "You got a 9 to 5, you got a 9 to 5, I got a 9 to 9, something." But I'm a hip hop artist for my 5 to 9. I actually have a show tonight and a show tomorrow. But by the time people watch this, you know, I don't want to promote something that happened in the past, but.
What about November? Yes. I mean, there's upcoming.
I got some stuff coming up. I'll share that in a second. But so I'm a hip hop artist, producer, studio owner, audio engineer, all that good stuff.
And you do a show 16 for 16 or something?
Yeah.
What is that?
So I call it's like hashtag 16 in 16 on 16. And the concept of that is a lot of people who are artists, they worry about how people perceive their music after they release it, and they get so caught up in the anxiety and the stress of like writing the perfect verse or writing like something that's going to be accepted or whatever. So it's a practice for me and for the other artists that I bring onto the show. But like we basically film a session of writing a 16-bar verse, which music theory 16 bars is like 16 measures of music.
Okay.
And then on paper with lyrics, it's 16 lines. Like if you were to write it out, it's like a line that rhymes, line that rhymes, line that rhymes. But on the 16th of every month, I release like a 10-minute video that shows the process of picking like a beat at random that's submitted through people on Instagram, picking a beat at random and writing it in 16 minutes and then performing it on the spot without any rehearsal. So it's very raw and very like to the craft. Like this is lyricism. This is what it means to be a hip hop artist who actually writes their own lyrics and has content.
So how much technology or how much of your technology education, technology work applies to your music or vice versa?
A lot actually. So the knowledge of, you know, building a website, how to purchase a domain name, set up your domain name so then you could have, you know, your own personal email addresses that people can contact you through, that kind of thing. So having that technical knowledge and being able to apply it to marketing yourself and being very comfortable with social media and, you know, video editing and graphic design, all that stuff, it all ties into it. And so off of my website, I also run a business where I sell Just Wulf merchandise. I got hoodies, shirts.
Shameless
buttons,
plugs are always
everything.
accepted, man. They're always accepted.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I was thinking about our high school students and looking back at, you know, we focus in on STEM and STEAM, right? All the technical engineering, the science and math, and focusing in on that. But in reality, when you come out of your high school phase of life and into your, you know, your adult phase of life, you actually have to have business skills. So maybe even beyond that, learning a little bit you have to do accounting, you have to do business management, you need to know a little bit about economics, know about marketing, in addition to just your skill and your craft. And so I think that's important as students know that they have to go back and study those things. Did you take any other classes like that prepared you for your business? Or do you wish you would have had some?
Not that I can think of. I mean, a lot of information and knowledge you can find on YouTube or a Google search.
Yeah.
And so I feel like part of that knowledge came from searching and doing research on how to be an entrepreneur and being so tied into the Twin Cities hip hop scene. Like I was able to pick up knowledge from other artists who are older than me that, could give me some game and some pointers on how I can run myself as a business instead of just an artist that gets on stage, raps, gets off stage, and then you never hear from them again.
Right.
It's all
right.
about the lasting impression that you leave on people.
Yep. Branding is
Yeah.
important, absolutely. So before we do a wrap up here, is there anything that you want to share? I know I cut you off a little bit earlier about your projects, but anything that you want to share with the high school audience or the audience in general, the airing?
Well, I suppose if there are any other artists out there, people who are interested in hip hop or maybe another genre, and also want to try to navigate that into having a career in IT or something STEM or STEAM related, you can give me a shout.
All right,
Yeah.
we'll have to make sure we get your information to do the subtitling, so we'll put it in there. Well, Justin, thank you very much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your career, your lifestyle, and your education with us on this episode of Altitude.
Yeah.
Thank you.